If you think of capitalism as centralized, there are really specific ways you can get the money you need to survive. You can have a job, you can inherit, or you can get some meager government benefits that don't really actually support anybody. A centralized system is automatically precarious. Think about putting a big bucket of money on a pole and expecting it to stay steady as you keep adding money to it and pulling money out and messing with it and stuff. Also, it's one bucket. So if that bucket runs out or runs low, or like somebody can't reach it, this is a metaphor, you know that, right? Then it doesn't work for everyone, or it can fail. Mutual aid is decentralized. Everyone is working together, somewhere in their own subgroups, and the groups overlap to make sure people get the resources and support that they need, whatever that looks like. And it's not just money, which automatically makes it stronger, because we're not just trying to fill a bucket with coins. People are trying to survive capitalism, so we are still trying to get people money when they need it. But it's also about, you need your dishes washed, or you need this stack of stuff in your apartment moved so you don't keep falling when you try to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Oh, you need somebody to watch your kids so you can go do whatever you need to do. Oh, you need some new clothes. Well, I think my old ones might fit you. That sort of thing. It's systems of support instead of one system. Let's say. I understand things in more broad concept and vibe ways, so I'm trying to make metaphors that hopefully make it make sense to other people. We have my truck. The last scrap one we did, we piled this baby high. We were working for like 2 weeks. We just kept not being able to get to the scrap yard and kept adding to it. And it was really precarious. It was just a pile. Brother was really stressed that stuff was going to fall out of the sides or slide out the back. Understandable. We put this tailgate up and it still wasn't high enough to block the pile that we had. So what we had to do was take this ratchet strap, this pulls out, becomes a strap, this other ratchet strap, crisscross them and anchor them to the truck, and then also use another strap across the top, and also use a bungee cord across some of it. So the systems of support here, the tailgate does its job. It keeps things from sliding out this way, right? The sides of the truck do its job. It keeps stuff from sliding out past this point. And these bars do help. They help a little more when we have bigger, more solid pieces rather than a bunch of precarious, smaller pieces. But they're still a barrier, and they're also what the straps are attached to and help us to crisscross and create the systems of support to keep the stuff in the truck. And then the straps, the different kinds of straps. Because one strap was not enough. The 2 straps that came with the truck were not enough. And it took some creativity. It took us working together and trying different things to figure out what was going to secure the pile the best so we could drive about 20 minutes to drop it off. That's what mutual aid is like. If you get onto, say, Twitter in a mutual aid community, you might see a dozen different people quote tweeting somebody's mutual aid request. And then you might see a dozen to hundreds of different people just retweeting and liking the mutual aid request. And then you might see different people making their own unique mutual aid requests for that same person. And then you have the people coming through who are able to send $3 or $5 or $50. You have their friends and family who are also able to step up and help when they can. You have people like me who take the need off Twitter and bring it to somewhere like TikTok. You have other people who take the need off Twitter and take it to their in real life mutual aid orgs and see if anyone there has the funds or if they have the collective funds to help at least achieve a little bit of the goal, if not all of it. And if the goal is for something like food, we could come together and figure out maybe how somebody IRL can get them food directly. Or I have a friend who sends people gift cards so they can get delivery if they need a meal. She did that for me and my brother one night when we were too exhausted to make ourselves meals. Mutual aid is about decentralizing the resources so that the system of support is not precarious and just like knocking as many people off as possible, because that's how people die. It's not a silly little metaphor. People literally die without access to resources, especially in a capitalist economy where there's a paywall in front of everything. Food, water, shelter, medication, clothing, tools, identification documents that if you don't have in 2025 in the United States could mean that you get sent to a really bad place outside of the United States. Everything has a paywall in front of it, even joy under a capitalist society. But it doesn't have to be that way. The resources exist. The food grows. And people grow it without financial incentives. We grow food in our garden so we can eat. We can't grow enough to support ourselves because we're poor and trying to survive capitalism and disabled and chronically ill. But that is what community is about. There are people who can grow food. or slaughter animals or like processed food to be eaten. There are people who can build cars. We all deserve to survive and have our needs met. Just because I can't build a car doesn't mean I shouldn't have a car. But also, just because I can't work enough to earn the money to buy a car doesn't mean I shouldn't have a car. If I need a car to survive in the modern society, which I do, at least in the area I'm in. But I have friends who are in city areas who don't drive. If public transportation is unreliable and there aren't systems of support, community systems of support, wherein they can get a ride when they need one, then they struggle to function in a modern society. It should be second nature that if somebody near you needs a ride and you have a car and the time to do it, you should do it. But capitalism makes things so precarious and stressful. I might be the next one to fall out of the bucket. I think originally we were putting money in the bucket and now the people are in the bucket, but you know, it's early and I haven't had any caffeine, so bear with me. If I'm going to be the next person to fall, if I'm the one in the precarious situation, the propaganda tells me that I'm always the one in the precarious situation, or I know that because I'm not a billionaire. It's going to be really hard for me to overcome that and see you as a person and see your need as greater than mine. Capitalism destroyed community. It took the human beings in front of us and turned them into either barriers or avenues to profit. You can either help me make money, aka survive, or you can get the fuck out of my way. And if you don't get out of my way fast enough, I might do things that make sure that you get out of my way faster. And that's where eugenics ties in. People who have jobs shaming other people who can't work for something they can't do, and for something that literally will result in their death. People who are able-bodied or able-minded shaming others who aren't for not trying hard enough or for being a burden. People who are disabled-bodied and disabled-minded but can still maybe work a regular job, who shame people who are more disabled for not overcoming the different experience they have. It disconnects you from the lived experience of the people around you. It makes your experience the singular experience. You are the only exception. Except you aren't. Money is precarious. It can even be precarious for billionaires, but it's especially precarious for anyone who's not a billionaire. The majority of people in the United States are 1 to 3 paychecks away from homelessness. And the majority of people in the United States are not 1 to 3 paychecks away from billionaire status. Do you see how quick the things can change negatively in your favor? The bucket's going to tip you out. Because the only way for you to, rise to the top of the bucket, be king of the bucket, whatever, have all the resources in the bucket, is to make sure that everybody else gets tipped out. Capitalism is precarious because it makes people hoard their own resources. But you don't need more resources than you need to survive. That's just evil. That just means that the people around you are dying. If you're fed and have a roof over your head, if you have your medicine covered, why aren't you sending at least $3 to people who don't? Because you want to be a billionaire. Because you want to have more resources than you could ever use in your life while other people die around you. That's the truth. That is what is happening. If you are hoarding your own resources while other people are dying without them, you are complicit in their deaths. I've gone to estate sales before where people have more shoes than they could have literally worn in their lifetime, still in the box, still in packaging, collecting dust in their attic, while people die behind the Walmart from exposure to the cold, or from hunger, or because they can't access healthcare, because they're too poor to even access a hotel room or an apartment, let alone $1,000, $300,000 hospital bill. Why do you have more shoes than you can ever wear in your life when people are dying behind the Walmart because they can't afford food or healthcare or shelter? Why do you have 3 Stanley cups when your friend from college can't afford a meal? Why does Taylor Swift have a private jet when my dad's neighbor can't afford a car to get to work, to earn money, to feed her grandchild? Why are any of us hoarding resources when the people around us are literally dying without them? Capitalism's precarious. It kills people. It's unsustainable. You need workers to make the things that make you the money, but then you're just gonna let all of the workers die. No, now they've got AI, so they don't have to worry about the workers. So it really doesn't matter if the workers all just die. Do you agree with that? Are you okay being replaced not only in your work, but also in your literal life by some computer? So some billionaires can stay billionaires? So that maybe you can afford a PS7 or whatever? Mutual aid is the future. The cracks left by capitalism, and it's stronger. End it.